Alrighty guys, welcome back to volume 2 of collection video with Mr. Jamie Hall. Today we're going to be talking about some of his higher end stuff. I mean, we did the Holy Trinity last time, so yeah. Higher end than that, even if that can if that even makes sense. But custom stuff, get some of the stories on his cool custom pieces. Jamie, thank you so much for taking the time again.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
The last video did incredibly well. People loved seeing all the stuff that you have, hearing all your stories. So
I just
we really
love you in
appreciate
general.
it. Oh yeah.
Thanks for the love.
Absolutely, man. So let's just go ahead and hop in there. We got a couple cases of custom pieces. Yeah. So I mean, you're gonna drive this time. So whatever you want to talk about, pull it out. I want to hear stories, the ideas behind them. So hop on in there.
All right.
Never gets this one.
Hey, what's up?
The first one, Marfione, custom. Warhound folder. When this first dropped, they had like a satin version with like some just plain titanium handles, and I knew if a full DLC version came out, that's the one I would want. And it did drop and come out, and the guys at River's Edge helped me obtain this one, and it's probably one of my favorite in my collection. It's just, you know, anything that Marfione Custom puts out, they do it in a way that, you know, it's going to please everybody that sees it and wants it, and that part of it is just incredible.
And that's a warhound, correct?
Yes, warhound. Yeah.
I like the way that they do details, like the holes on the blade kind of carry over to the holes or the divots on the actual pocket clip. Like they do. I mean, the finishing on that is second to none.
Totally agree.
One of my absolute favorite pieces in your collection. I think it's so cool, especially in full DLC. It just turned out incredibly well. The Warhound almost fits a folder better than it fits into an OTF. It doesn't look like they had to stuff it into the handle like they do in an OTF. Yeah. So I think that just looks absolutely incredible. Action on it is perfect.
The DLC holds up really well too. It carries, and you can use it, you can cut things with it, and it doesn't show. I know some people get nervous about DLC. They think that it's going to come off, and you know, it's diamond-like coating, so it's going to be super strong. And the amount of carry that I've done with this, you can't even really tell. You might see a little bit of fingerprint stuff on it, but other than that, there's no major scratches or anything. And you know, when you cut through something on that, you might see a little bit in the tip, but the minute that you wipe it off, it's gone, and you're back to having a good-looking knife.
I've seen people like cut cans and whatnot with DLC blades, and it looks like it kind of shore through the actual coating, and then you just wipe it off, and it turns out it was just like the residue from the metal can on the DLC, which is cool.
It is cool.
But we talk about that a lot, our preconceived notions about black knives and black coated knives, and it's like, man, that's just from growing up with some really shitty black coatings on knives.
Yeah, they're not a true DLC. It's more like some other material it's painted on.
Yeah, so, and that is not that.
No, that's not diamond-like.
Yeah, that is awesome, man. What you got?
Next, we're probably going to go with the Borka. SBKF stands for folder. So this version is like a bronzed bark titanium with the black DLC blade. This thing is just, it's his grail.
Yeah.
For a long time, it was my grail. And you really don't understand until you get it in hand and feel it, and then you realize Borka's knives and designs are just incredible. These things are hard to come by, and you know, everyone that loves them, there's a reason they love them. And once you get one, you understand why.
It's like the organic lines of the knife. It just always reminds me of like almost like flowing water. Yeah. The way that he draws his designs, and then that natural looking bark finish on there just is absolutely so well suited for the design.
Totally agree.
It's so nice. The blade stock on that is incredibly thick, which is something you don't normally see in photos of that knife.
Yeah.
It looks like it would be, I mean, it is nice and slim, easy to carry, but the blade stock is crazy on that.
Yeah, it's thick.
One of these days.
Yeah, one of these days. That thing is awesome.
Usually when I bring
So
my knives
comfortable,
around
too.
Everett, that's the first one he gravitates towards. And I totally see why. It's, you know, I always encourage people, go to a knife meet and handle some of these knives that you're too afraid to search out and look into, because once you get them in hand and you see the quality, you're going to know why a lot of people seek out some of these makers.
Absolutely.
For me, I guess it kind of leads back to Chris Reeve. It's just that neutral kind of look,
Yeah.
which I enjoy. They're always comfortable.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the cleanliness of that knife is just impeccable.
That's true. I didn't actually even make that connection because you are obviously such a huge CRK guy that's almost like the next level when
Yeah.
it comes to fit and finish and all the hand touches that go into a blade like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I didn't think of that.
Might as well go right into that next one.
Here we
Same
go.
Maker, Borka M stitch,
Yeah.
which is basically like a smaller stitch. For a long time, this was my grail over that last one. And then it wasn't until I got that in my hand that I realized I do like that design just a scotch more. But, you know, this still has my heart. When I put this in your guys' hands, you're going to see things like the contouring of that titanium
Yeah,
slab.
yeah.
It's just, it's impressive to see what kind of work he can put into these things. And this one, it's probably my second favorite knife.
It's funny because at one of our meetups, someone asked you, was this a knockoff Microtech?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That happens more than you would, the more
It
you
happens a lot.
think. Well, it's happened to Cole as well.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
he pulls his out, he has a full size version.
Yeah.
And
Does it
people
have
are
a
like, "Oh
Microtech
yeah."
copy?
Yeah.
It's like, no, you don't understand. Like,
I want to say that's probably why you haven't seen a Microtech folder version of
Yeah.
some of those, is because they want to keep it to that custom side, and I totally see why. Most of my automatic versions of that knife from Microtech, you can easily see when you get them both in hand why there is a difference of the two. And that particular one I chose because it's full stone wash.
Yeah.
You can carry it, use it, and you're not gonna care if you get a little mark
Yeah.
on it. And to me, that's important. I want to be able to put a custom knife in my pocket and cut things and still carry it and use it, and not just have it sit at home.
And that's the difference between you and a lot of other collectors. Like, there's a lot of guys that if they even had a collection that was as well-rounded as this, that's all it would be. It would be
Yeah.
something that they open up the case, and when a knife meet comes around, they bring it out there and show people.
Yeah.
But you have a respect for the blades, obviously, because you're storing them really well and you've just been in the community for so long. You appreciate the artistry, but you also appreciate them as tools, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you know, that's what you get into this hobby for, is you want a sharp knife that you can pull out and use.
Yep.
And be comfortable using it. And the higher up you go in that realm, you know, you're going to realize that these knives do cut better. They do
Yep.
carry better. Everything's just better because more detail, more attention went into it. So that's a great example of it.
And they're not constrained by total cost of the knife. They can put these chamfered edges around the hardware here
Yeah.
because that extra 2 hours of time can be built into the price and it'll still
Yep.
be paid for.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
And I like what you were saying about the Microtech. People are probably more familiar with the stitch through Microtech than they are through Borka's actual custom pieces.
Definitely.
But I think that the Microtech stitch is a really nicely done iteration of this knife, and so vastly different being a button lock auto
Yeah.
that it still has a specialness to it. It doesn't take away the specialness from this at all.
Yeah.
But you get those ergos and that's an awesome piece.
You get some guys that have some of these and they'll have like a Damascus pivot collar. And, you know, that's one little thing of that knife that will make it pop. And to me, I still wanted something a little bit more plain. So I just, you know, they make these with blue or bronze, you know, green sometimes. And I think the bronze just looks really good with this because it's the only color on the whole thing. It's monochromatic otherwise, so
It's clean.
yeah, it's very clean. Good one.
Yeah, really like that piece.
That's a good one.
Do you have any of your custom pieces that you aren't even comfortable carrying, or not even that you're not comfortable carrying, but that you just don't carry because they're just either so high end or what?
No, I choose knives with that in mind.
Yeah.
So if there was one that I would never carry or never put, in my pocket, I think I would probably offload it pretty quick.
Interesting.
Yeah, I wouldn't want it in my collection because
the same way.
it's too nice.
Yeah.
It's like if something sits for too long, even in my collection, I'll sell it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's not getting the love it deserves.
Yeah.
Let's move it on to the next person.
Especially with something as small batch as all of these knives are,
Right.
it's almost like if there's, let's say there's less than 500 in the world, if it's like, hey, if it's not getting used in my collection, sell it to someone who might use it.
Exactly,
That's
yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah,
That's really
absolutely.
cool.
And I don't have a problem when somebody buys a knife or gets a knife and they intended on just putting it in a safe.
Sure.
That's for them to pass on to their family, whatever they're doing with it. That's their version of collecting, and I support that as well.
And it's like, yeah, I mean, you're into whiskey as well, and there's definitely guys that are out there that just like to have a big shelf of beautiful bottles that are unopened.
Yeah,
you
totally.
know.
Yep.
And I mean, however people want to spend their money, however people want to relax and enjoy themselves, totally cool with it.
Collecting is collecting.
Yep.
And so there's versions of that. And for me, if I do get a whiskey, I almost get immediately home, pop it open, and try it.
Yeah.
It could be early in the day, and as long as you're just trying it, not
Yeah.
going
Just
to.
have a little sip of it,
Yeah, why not?
Oh no.
All right.
Oh jeez.
Right?
So that is my only Mick Strider full custom, signed on the blade by Mick. Getting into knives when I first got into, you would hear things about Strider where you say, oh, there's a lot of controversy or whatever. And that always gets brought up. And for me, I've never met him in person, but he's always been super respectful and nice to me with
cool.
questions online. So I knew that I wanted a custom piece by Mick Strider because his grinds, when you see his grind work and some of the stuff that he does in knife making is like a little bit ahead of the curve, where you'll see something that he did and then you might see that 2-3 years down the road, but he might have been the first guy to do it. And that particular one, I think he calls that like a magma finish or something on the blade, but
It's gorgeous.
it just contrasts so well, and in the right lighting, the grinds in that blade they're exceptional. Every time I pull that knife out and I look at the grinds, I'm like, he's one of the best in the business.
I'll give him credit on that one.
Yeah, he did a great job, man.
So I totally agree. I think he was doing compound grinds in his custom stuff a little bit before we saw that become almost a trend in the knife world.
Absolutely.
And maybe it's just because he had the capability to do it before other people did it.
Sure.
And the skills and everything. But yeah, I mean, tell us more about that handle. What's the
So the handle on this, I believe, is aluminum, and it's got a really, really deep engraving.
Yeah, that's what I think is so cool
it's
about
really
that.
deep. And then when you flip it, it's got the same image, but I think it's etched into there, and it works really well. Anybody that knows his logos and his stuff, some people want this all plain, some people don't mind the logo. I saw the grind on this and knew I didn't really care what else was going on.
Sure.
I focused my attention on the blade, but I really like this knife a lot. It's probably one of my most carried full customs. I carry this and use it a little bit more than most of the other ones.
It's totally gorgeous. I love the way the image is mirrored, and just the way that it carries over the pocket clip is beautiful. It's so nice.
Yeah, you can tell the attention. It's crazy. The first time I put that in hand and I felt the difference between a full custom and a production or semi mid-tech.
Yeah.
Immediately. You can sort of look at things on that and really see the attention to detail.
I love little handmade touches, like the way he signs it.
Yeah.
That means a lot to me.
Yeah, totally.
I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
But that's an absolutely gorgeous piece.
Love
and
it.
that's an SMG?
Yeah, SMG.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Out of all my Striders I have, the S&G it's the one that fits, feels the best to me, so I just kind of rolled with it. And that same blade shape and everything in the SMF, to me, is just a tad bit big, carry-wise and everything. So I chose the S&G as my platform to love the most.
Yeah, that finish almost looks like bronze in certain lights.
Yeah,
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, you get that thing in, you know, even sunlight, and you'll be like, whoa, I've never seen the purples that come out in it.
It almost has like a cast iron feel to it, too. I think that's so cool. I want to know how he did that.
Agree. I'd love to know how he does a lot of those. I can't even see what's in that next one. What is that?
This would be a surprise for everyone.
Oh, yeah, we'll get into these. So these next two are from a guy named Sam Johnston, who has since passed away. But, you know, his knives, the amount of work that he put into these for the time that he was knife making, I personally was very curious to see what his would look like, you know, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And unfortunately, you know, we're not going to get to see that. And
he was younger too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was younger for sure. Too young. But that particular one that Everett's holding on to, I've always wondered how he got the color of that blade, and I'll never get to know. And that's one thing that is kind of like a mystique behind that knife that I thought, you know, a lot of knife makers may know how to get that color in a blade, but your average knife person may not know how that was done. And the color on that blade with the color choice of the G10 and the rest of the knife, it blows me away every single time.
He was really talented.
Yeah,
he was really talented.
Unbelievable. And it shows. You know, you get one of these in your hand and you understand, like, the floating backspacer on that. It is just insane.
The way that this is tuned, like, I don't know, even on a really smooth knife, sometimes you'll hit a point here where it'll just kind of stop with the detent ball running into the back of the blade, but that is just, it's smooth like the entire way. I don't know how that's tuned like that, but it's also got great detent. Flip it upside down.
That one's taken a really, really tough tumble before too. I was walking by something and it grabbed the pocket and flung it like 25 feet across the room. Picked it up and looked at it and was like, it didn't hurt it at all. So, you know, once you take that plunge and go into the custom realm, you know, there's still tools and knives, so they can take abuse. You know, that's titanium and steel, so there's not much you're going to do to that thing to hurt it, you know, past like a scratch or a scuff. So to me, you know, it adds character, and, you know, I've marred that clip up a few times, and it's just part of the character, so I don't mind it.
Take some design cues from like a Tough Thumbs.
Definitely, I see that for sure.
Especially like the grind.
Yeah,
the grind is awesome.
Yeah,
it almost kind of reminds me of how wide the bevel is on a CRK Tonto.
Yeah,
I think that really appeals to me. I would hate to sharpen it.
They're terrible to sharpen.
Yeah, I know you would know. In the blade finish, it almost has a little bit more rose gold to it.
Yeah, it does.
I like that.
Yeah, that blade color is, even when you've seen bronze before.
Yep.
The way he did it, it's different. It's
almost got a
than
little,
all the other ones I've seen.
Like a little pinkiness to it. I mean, everything just fits together so well. That is a really cool piece, and that's one obviously that you just don't see hardly at all.
No, you don't. Even the Sam Johnston Facebook knife group, you know, you still get ones that pop up where people are like, whoa, I haven't seen something like that one, or, you know, that one's so different or unique. And the guy that helped me get those few, Michael Rebrant, he, you know, made it to a few Kentucky knife shows where, you know, he would say, is there anything that, you know, you're looking for? Or he knew Sam Johnston as a knife maker, you know, when he first got into it. Wow. So he kind of turned me on to him as a knife maker. And I was hoping to make it to the Kentucky knife show to have my knife on me and ask him a couple questions.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's just forever going to be the mystery for me. Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. That's a good one. You can talk about it if you want a little bit.
I'm not huge
it's the
on
Curtis,
knowledge when it comes to Curtis.
Yeah, it's the Curtis F3. When you look at his designs and his knives, you might catch something that you've seen before, and whether it be like the Nano, I left that in another case, I think, but the pivots or the pocket clips and that texture. Even though the Nano is such a different knife design, you can easily see it from across the room that pocket clip is a Curtis Knives. The pivot, everything that he does, it seems to have his kind of touch on it. And that one was at River's Edge, and I really loved everything about it. I love the color. I love the texture.
That texture is something else.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
This is the most confidence inspiring feel to it. Like, it just sets into the hand. Like, everyone knows my dad's been a cop for a long time, but like if I could like think of a perfect utility blade, maybe not in green, maybe a little black on black action, but just a perfect utility blade for all the stupid shit he had to do with his knives over the last 30 years, like this would be the perfect knife for that. Like, wet hands, cold hands. It's just awesome. The jimping is incredible. The action on these, and it could just be because they have such a massive flipper tab, but I've just always thought Curtis had some of the best action in the market.
They tune their detents. He does a really good job with that.
Yes. Yeah, the tuning that goes into his knives are second to none. You look at every aspect centered perfectly. It's just got amazing qualities about it that when you get it in hand and you say, whoa, look at this pivot, that's unique. Or the pocket clip, I would say that's the first thing that drew me into his knives. I saw that pocket clip online, and I didn't know much about it. So the minute you research it, you realize that that's a very, very, very specific pocket clip. You'll never see that again unless it's on one of his knives.
They're always so tight.
They are.
Especially combined with the texture. Well, do you remember that Curtis that we had on consignment that also had some work done it by Preacher Customs?
Oh yeah,
that was really cool. That was kind of a cool combination of two custom guys that are awesome.
That blade shape is
it's incredible. The grind at the tip there is just
amazing. You look at it, from all these different angles, and you see like, oh wow,
it looks like it was cut by a damn laser. Which is so cool. I mean, that's another level of custom stuff where it still has that feel like it was like I said, cut by a laser. Like, it's just so precise. I really like that piece.
What are you over there playing with?
Oh yeah, this is perfect for you. I know you're a diminutive knife kind of guy.
That thing's always had like a little puppy, or it just feels like it
It's
feels
like the Spyderco Poochie on steroids.
it reminds me of that for some odd reason. The minute I first saw it, I was like, whoa, that thing looks
so
unique.
small, but you can get such a great grip on it.
And of course, being a Medford, it's got a 1/4 inch blade stock, and it's just absolutely crazy.
It's like 7 inches thick.
I've always said, you could huck a Medford at somebody and do some damage just from the weight.
And escape.
For sure.
From a bad situation.
We got one more in this case, and this one I like a lot. It's a JB Stout Leviathan Hawk.
That grind is crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing. Once again, this one has one of those bronzy finishes, but if you put that next to another knife maker's bronze, it will have a little bit different of a bronzing. And I'm sure they all have different techniques.
That's so nice.
Yeah, this is a good one. I like that one a lot.
The action on this one is super good too.
It's,
it's clean.
I'm glad that you guys picked these up and you immediately see some of the same things I see. Like when you folded it closed, you're like, look at the tolerances on that. I mean, it looks like it's going to hit the frame.
It sets so close to the frame.
It's amazing.
I love some of these custom chisel grinds, just how super offset they look, but the tolerance is still
I want to say that's
tight.
One of the few, I might not have that many chisel grinds. Like, that was one that just spoke to me because, I think he has several versions of, like, his blade styles and shapes. And that particular one just called out to me. I was like, whoa, that's really unique. It's really cool. His knives always have that real clean. Yeah. Like, just super clean.
But like the little touches, like this milling here and then here inside the frame, and how sharp that is. Like, that is so nice.
It's pretty amazing.
And as far as unique blade shapes and grinds go, like a hawkbill chisel ground, compound ground. Like
Yeah.
it's so.
Yeah,
There's so many little permutations that make it rarer and rarer after every time. That's cool. I really like that.
You were telling us something about this backwards logo.
Yeah, so I had asked someone about that. Like, how come JB Stout has some of his logos backwards? And I don't know how true this is, but what I was told was he does those to signify like first runs or the first time he does something like that.
That's so cool.
So yeah, I knew there always has to be a reason for little things like that makers do. And I thought, oh no, this logo's backwards. That's weird. And someone was like, no, that's actually pretty cool. That may have been the first Leviathan Hawk that he
That's
done
awesome.
like that. So,
That's sweet.
Yeah,
It's kind of a cool way to decipher.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
I would love to know how accurate that is, but maybe one day I'll meet him at a knife event.
And it almost reminds me of like the coin collecting world or like the bill
Yeah.
collecting world where like if something's wrong on it,
Yes.
it makes it rarer. And
Yes.
it's not wrong, but it's just like a little signifier that it's
Yep.
like something cool.
Absolutely.
Do you want to take some time and lay these out and get the little close-up shots of them and then we'll move on to this case?
Yeah, do that.
This thing is crazy.
Yes,
Tell,
it is.
walk us through that.
So this is
Behemoth.
the Ruben's Titanium Tools Rone. R-O-N-E, I believe is what it's called. It's crazy smooth.
Yeah.
Lots of detail. This has some orange peel, and then the pocket clip matches the texture on the other side. And then you can really feel this when you get it in hand. But I mean, it's just crazy smooth.
The closest thing to Grimsmo smooth
Yeah.
that I've felt.
Yeah, I agree. When you put those two side by side, you can see easily how people have that correlation. It's a good one.
It's almost the way that and the Norseman feel. It's a different kind of smooth, like a Shiro smooth, or obviously a Chris Reeve smooth is completely different.
Yeah.
But it almost just feels like it's hanging off the pivot, like it's not even touching the frame or
Yeah.
anything like that. It just feels like it just wants to fall.
Yeah, it's like floating.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
exactly
exactly
right.
what it
It
feels
feels like
like.
it's not touching any other part of the knife.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Agree.
How many times has this bit your thumb?
A bunch. I used to have a bunch of cuts in my thumbnail.
Yeah.
I would just use it to stop
Yep.
it. But since we're on the subject,
Also, great texture on that handle as well.
yeah, I love the
Super
texture on that.
unique.
These
So-
come in as a lot of people's grill knife.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
people, they're like, if I could have one, I
Yeah.
want one of these.
And, you know, and being honest, I was in that boat for a while, and you know, once you get this knife and you realize that cutting edge is kind of strange, you know, does it work? Yes, absolutely. It's going to cut a lot of stuff. Is it sharp? Yes, it is. But when it comes down to you sharpening this, you definitely want to take it to someone who sharpens for a living, because that thing can be insanely difficult to sharpen. I've never attempted it myself.
I've done a couple at the shop, and I'm like sweating bullets the whole time.
Yeah.
Like if I mess this up, it's done.
Funny story about this one. This one is number 340. They are now way in the thousands. But I did a knife trade with this one. I had number 44, which was a pretty significant Grimsmo. It like fell in line of you know how they evolved. And you guys asked me earlier, you know, is there a knife that you don't like to carry or use or just sits in a case? And the first Norseman I had was one of those. It was number 44, and I didn't feel comfortable pocketing it, using it, so I opted to trade it to a guy for this version, which is, you know, much plainer, more user version. Still not, it's a low number, but not crazy low.
Sure.
So this one I, you know, carry, use, I'll do whatever I want with it, and it's still just as smooth as the day I got it.
And then the texture on this, I keep harping on that, but
Yeah.
that is like such a unique texture. Like we were talking about the Curtis texture.
Yeah.
And it almost has that level of grip on it, just because those pyramid points are just so
Yes.
sharp.
Yep. And people often wonder, you know, does something like that tear up your pockets? You know, like a double gunner grip would from
Yeah.
Strider, and it does not. It carries really well, but yet still feels good when you do want that extra grip.
I love how thin they are.
Yeah.
That doesn't come across in pictures, I don't think.
No, it
but
doesn't.
they carry so thinly.
Yes.
Super thin.
Yeah, you throw that in the pocket and you almost forget about it. Say you're wearing some dress slacks, or you know got something important to do that day and you do happen to carry that knife, you're not, even though it's got some good size to it, you're never going to know that it carries.
It's one of those pocket tappers. Like, is it? Yep,
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I still have it.
there? Oh,
I like that you can just totally half-ass the flip on this one, and the weight of the blade will just carry it through because it's so smooth. I think that's so cool.
absolutely.
Yeah, that is definitely a grail piece for me. I think that's so sweet.
Yeah, if you ever see one of these out in the wild and you're too afraid to pick it up or ask about it, you know, ask to see it out of the knife case, because as soon as you flip that and do that with it, you're going to realize why people talk about these so much.
Yeah, it'll shift your perception of what is possible again.
Absolutely. Next we have a Demco.
Oh yes, here we go.
Now this one immediately draws people in on the actual lock. You know, if you can catch that, you lift up on that, and then just the weight of the blade will take it down. And people have asked, you know, how safe is that, or how strong is that? You know, he's not going to put out a knife that, you know, doesn't meet his standards. So, you know, you realize as soon as you get this in the hand, it's beefy. It's going to take a lot of abuse. And, you know, fidget wise, I play with this a lot just because it's so fun to play with.
Yep.
I mean, for a long time, to me, a knife that, you know, people talk about is like something that you can open and close with one hand. You know, if you happen to be out and hurt this hand and you can't physically open your knife with two hands, you can easily get this out and close it with one hand. So that immediately made me look into some of his knives, because he just does very unique designs, and that particular lock is something I've never seen before.
The harder you grip the knife, the firmer the lock is becoming.
Exactly right.
Yes, what a cool idea.
And I mean, he is obsessed with knife strength as a person. Like that's like what that's I think that's a lot of his motivation. Obviously, being an engineer, like he produces locks, like that's what he does. I think that kind of sets him apart from other knife designers, I should say.
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys are doing like form factor design. Like I want the handle to look like this. I want the blade to look like this.
He's
I want it to be
designing
smooth.
knives around a lock that he developed.
That's crazy.
It's insane.
Like it's a whole other level of design work.
And shout out the Triad lock. I mean, such a popular, well-known Demco design.
Yeah.
Like, and those things are tanks.
Yeah,
Even if you've never owned a Demco custom or a Demco production knife, you've come in contact with something that he's designed.
Yeah, for sure.
And like I said, I mean, he's so obsessed with strength. He's doing shear tests on G10 and on FRN, trying to figure out how strong those materials are. He could not be a cooler guy.
He really is a nerd when it comes to that stuff. Like, he just nerds out about
and tomahawks. He's a huge tomahawk nerd, which is really cool. And if you look at him, he's not going to produce a knife that you can break. He literally couldn't produce a knife that I could physically break, because if he can't break it, he's an absolute mountain of a man. So I sure as hell can't break it.
Yeah, if he can't break it, none of us are breaking it.
I love his stuff. He as a person, as a man, I think he's awesome.
I agree.
So that just makes it even better.
Now, we were talking off camera, and we would like some feedback from you guys.
Yeah.
Are these considered customs, or is this more of a mid-tech? Is it a production? Let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that and Shiro and
Lots of people have that question. They wonder, you know, what does make a custom, and what, you know, to me, it's something that I hope a lot more people chime in and say, well, here's what I think it is, because, you know, if you guys happen to know and have feedback on that, that'd be awesome. And we're going to move on to the next one.
Perfect.
So this one, very cool piece. This is a Ramon Chavez that happened to have some custom work done by Preacher Custom. I know we talked about that in the last one. He did a PM2 frame titanium where he did that same work to it. And this particular one, you know, it's beefy, it's big, but then, you know, once you get it in your hand and start looking at it, you realize, like, wow, this is unique compared to some of the ones I've seen.
It definitely has some weight to it.
It does, and a little bit of that extra weight is, I believe he did this Zerk backspacer,
Gotcha.
Whatever you would call that piece on the back there, which does add a little bit more weight to that. You see people that get these custom done all the time, where they'll do some of that milling inside of this as well. But this particular one, You know, it was the most unique one I've ever seen, and I just thought it was super cool.
I really like the way that the blade finish looks on this.
Yeah, very apocalyptic.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, like with the Microtech finish apocalyptic is nowhere near as apocalyptic as this.
Yeah, that looks like he actually used it for 50 years.
It does. It looks incrable. Yeah,
Pretty
I love
stiff
that
detail
milling.
on that guy too.
Yeah, that's why I'm avoiding closing it because I don't want to reopen it on camera. Here, you try it.
And who knows?
Oh, damn you.
Oh, that's great.
It is a stiff detent though.
You know, that could have come from some of that work being done to the frame. I've always wondered that. You know, did some of that work change the detent on that? Because I've held other ones where it's not quite that heavy.
Looks like maybe he modified the lockup a little bit.
Yep. You never know.
just
It's solid,
forcing
though.
The detent
Like that.
ball.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, see, that's what I was afraid of trying to do. But Everett,
chewing my thumb
you
up.
can Spidey flick like a folding camping saw, though. So I know you can open anything any way you
almost
want.
Spidey flick this. There we go.
Yeah,
Oh
you
my
did.
god!
I'm not even going to attempt that.
Yeah, on to the next one. I'm too embarrassed. I'm too embarrassed by that whole situation.
Speaking of Shiros,
Oh, here we go. That thing, a different kind of smooth compared to the Norseman,
Oh, yeah.
but just another benchmark setting knife.
Absolutely.
Grail knife for a lot of
another
different
one
people.
of those. A lot of guys are like, I wish I could get my hands on one.
Oh, yeah.
Big time.
In fact, we can skip ahead and just pull two out at once.
Back to back.
It's crazy. You know, when you first do look into Shiro knives, you realize that, you know, some guys may tell you that, you know, I really fell in love with the logo. It's something as simple as that. But then, you know, you get it in hand and you feel how smooth they are, and they exude. I mean, look at everything down to like all the hardware in this. It just looks so clean, and I knew I had to have one of these at some point, and the minute I pulled the trigger on one, I was looking for other ones. And, you know, people don't want to let these go.
No.
You don't see them on the secondary market a lot at all.
I mean, the milling on the pocket clip here and the recess and the G10 and the texture there so it goes in and out of the pocket easier.
Yeah.
Like this milled pocket clip looks like it costs more than the Spyderco in my pocket. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like, it just looks like it has all of that work done to it for a reason. It's
Well,
so
and
cool.
small details too, like blade to handle ratio. Like
Yeah.
Big time.
of the blade is right there. Like
Yeah.
ergonomics are almost perfect.
Yeah, and it's getting back to that thing you talked about earlier. It's a thin, you know, to be made as well as it is and be so thin. And, you know, both of these have a lot of milling that went into the pocket clip and things like that. And that goes a long way with me. You know, I don't want a really cool looking knife and then you have this way out of place pocket clip. It
Yeah.
just doesn't make sense. So
Like a
you know,
gimmicky pocket clip or
I just threw that on. I've got them laying around.
Says
Yeah,
the
part
guy with
spin.
the Python.
yeah. Yeah, this thing
that's
is
one
so
reason on
sweet.
that one.
CTS 40 CP on there, also very unique. I do like that they play around with steels. I think that's really
for
cool.
sure. Absolutely.
I feel like that's another kind of upside of being a boutique knife manufacturer. It's like, hey, I want to screw around and make one run with CTS 40 CP,
Yep.
and they don't want to order 100 sheets of it like Spyderco or Benchmade would because they just want to screw around with it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
They just want to see how they like it, how they like working with it. You know, if someone doesn't like working with a material like carbon fiber, they may, you know, put out one carbon fiber knife a year.
Yeah.
It's because they hate working with it. I don't know. I forget the name of the particular collab, but it's Barker Shiro. And the first time I saw that knife, it was in a video. I want to say it might have been, I can't remember who the guy was, but in the video, he's going up and showing you some of the millwork and the stuff that went into it. And I thought, man, that's one collaboration I would love to own, but you know, you didn't see a lot of them. You still don't see a lot of them. And you know, you get one of these in hand. I say that a lot, but you know, you realize this the second you flip that out, it's like a rocket.
yeah.
And you know, it's just incredible to see the amount of design work and thought that goes into something like that. And
small attention to detail too. Like,
and they don't get a huge
incredible.
amount of credit, but their lockup is insanely tight.
Yep.
Like that's a really, really strong knife on
Yeah,
top of it.
I
absolutely.
love like the milled section and
Exactly.
It's incredible. That pocket clip alone is just like, whoa. And he made a good point. He's like, you don't carry this a lot at shows. And I think it's one of those things where, say it's around Halloween.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of orange color going on. I may pull that one out to be like, oh, cool, it's going to fit the Halloween theme. But truthfully, that orange would be great if you went out in the woods, you drop that on the ground, you're going to see it a mile away.
Yeah, and that's not the kind of knife you want to lose in the woods.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
That'd be a bad
It's an
day.
irreplaceable blade. Here we go.
some more twins.
Oh, yeah. We got a couple more twins. There should be a 3.0 probably,
You wanna
if
hold
I had
that
to
one?
guess, in 2022. But yeah, these are Rotten Designs and Custom Knife Factory production versions of the Rotten Evolution, which, these things, someone asked me one time, how smooth are those? And are they Grimsmo smooth? It just depends how you're talking. Yeah, these things will bite you.
Yeah, there you go.
They will bite
Talking
you. They'll
about
make
smooth.
you bleed. In fact, this knife right here gave me those 7 stitches in my thumb. This one. I was cutting a zip tie. Don't ever cut zip ties with knives.
There's other stuff. There's other stuff for that.
Types. I don't care what you use, but not a pocket knife.
This is a different type of smooth.
Yes, you just nailed it.
Yeah.
When you compare this to Grimsmo, I don't like that comparison because it's just a different kind of smooth. You got to get your thumb out of the way on this.
Big time.
I would argue to say it might even be smoother. But are you talking fast smooth, or are you talking, just smooth overall? Because there's some knives when you drop that, it's going to go down just like
That big one is the guillotine.
Yeah,
it really is, man. You got to get your thumb out of the way. You did it right. You have it kind of to the side and then move.
Oh, because if it's going,
well,
it's just straight up
it
and
already
down.
bit me once. I don't.
I've cut that
I'm not fast
version of
enough.
my thumb more times than I'd like to talk about. But I cannot wait for the 3.0 version of that. This thing is just.
Did you get the DLC version of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, I had to because I thought full tie, carbon fiber, and then full DLC. You kind of cover all your bases.
Exactly.
And there's guys out there that will own the same version, all titanium, all titanium, all titanium. And that's awesome, you just have different sizes and blade, lengths, things like that. And I like Rotten Designs. I knew from day one of seeing his actual design that I really, really just like the overall, almost, I hate comparing, but like a Strider feel to it, where when you get it in hand, you can choke up on it. It's just amazing, amazing knife. I love this thing.
It's just skinny by the pivot, and then it just not so gradually gets really nice and full in the very.
Talk about a nice hollow grind too.
Oh yeah,
Custom Knife Factory does a great job with their grinding.
they do.
They're killer. Anybody that they collab with, Peter Rossani, anyone that you talk about, those knife makers go to Custom Knife Factory because they know they're going to show the attention to the detail what they want to put out. And that is never more prevalent than these two knives right here. They're just amazing, amazing knives. And
This
you
one.
look at, if you're a little bit hesitant on picking one of these up when they drop, you should do it then, because when these go to the secondary, they're so few and far between that you're going to pay more anyway. So
Yeah.
why not get it at the ground level? So even though you got to wait a little bit of time because, they do the pre-order thing, and then, when it drops, they're coming from, Russia, so they're going to take a long time to get to John.
Now, when they do their pre-orders, do they pre-order a set amount, or do they just let as many pre-orders go through as possible?
I'm pretty sure that they kind of, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that they do a mix of each.
Okay.
They may have a number in mind and then see how it gets there. And of course, after the first drop, they knew that they probably can't make enough to meet the demand.
Exactly, and they never
I'm
can.
assuming they have their own way of doing that, which is kind of cool.
This one's so light.
It is. That carbon fiber really lighten that up when you feel the the Zerk backspacer of the full size.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. Yeah.
It's very heavy.
Yeah, this thing is super light.
I love it. I probably carry that one more now that I have it because of that reason. It's just lighter in the pocket. And then the bigger version, you know, I use this a lot. If you could get really in and see this, it's just a user. I constantly cut stuff with this. I think there's a video at some point I'm cutting something pretty
One of
crazy.
those is Cole's daily carry. Shout out Cole again.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's a 1.0 or a 2.0.
He has
This one.
Oh, okay.
that
The
one.
one.
Okay.
And he
Yep.
daily carries. That's his everyday EDC, and it's really well used. But
Yep.
still
Yeah,
just
like
as
so well
solid.
used. I've seen him like jamming into wood and everything. Like he's serious about it.
It's amazing, man. This thing, you know, with such a heavy blade, sometimes people talk about detent and they're like, well, I don't like the detent of that or whatever. And it's, you can't have a blade that heavy and support it with a detent that's like that. It's just not going to happen. You know, you could, but it'd be a nightmare to open.
Yeah, exactly. Only Everett could open it.
Yeah, exactly. This thing is amazing. I love this knife so much.
Yeah, that's a design that people can't get enough of right now.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Should we lay these guys out?
Yes.
Cool, man. Should we get this wrapped up with a little fixed blade action?
I think we should.
So this is absolutely crazy. Just laying all these out right here on the ottoman. Yeah. We're just gonna pull out things that kind of stick out to you. But what sticks out to you from this collection here?
Everything sitting here would definitely be this knife right here. The Rotten Drifter. Incredible fixed blade. I asked John when he was first doing a run of these drifters, a lot of people were getting the compound grinds.
Yeah.
And I asked John, what's the best thing for everyday use, to actually use this thing, carried a lot. And I believe he said it was his brother that finished the Appalachian Trail with this style grind. So I said, you know, if it fit him well with that, I definitely like the idea of that grind. So this is probably my favorite fixed blade. It's just incredible.
It's so light.
Yeah, the wrapped handle, it's just amazing.
Super comfortable. I mean,
I want to say that steel is 3V2, so you
that's
can
a great
really-
choice.
You can beat it up.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a great choice for hard use anything, but a fixed blade
Absolutely.
specifically. And that is gorgeous.
I already know which one I'm picking.
I already know which one I'm picking.
I say you do it because I don't know which one either of you would pick.
Okay, Evan, you
This
grab
is
first.
sick.
Yeah,
All right.
That's gonna fall right on Jamie's foot.
gonna gravitate toward this guy.
I should have.
I was gonna grab. That's what I was gonna grab too.
Now discontinued, which makes no sense
No.
whatsoever.
I think they're moving to 3V also for their fix. It's either 3V or 4V. I can't
It
remember.
might be 4V.
Okay, it could be 4V.
Yeah, which is good.
That's a great choice for fixies. I think that's
Yeah.
gonna be
But
super
the Chris
cool.
Reeve and Yala, just an overall tank.
It's kind of an Insingo blade. Yeah, which
so
is really
comfortable
cool.
with the contoured handles.
It's amazing.
Maybe a little too round for some hard use.
Sure.
But just for a standard fixed blade, that's the one I'm going for.
Yeah, that's
It's a good
completely gorgeous.
one. Very
It's
good.
got all the things that you love about Chris Reeve folders. Yeah, that's a beautiful piece. And you got another Chris Reeve down by, don't you? Is this a Chris Reeve here? Oh, I was the multicam. The
Yeah.
multicam
Nope,
tricked
this
me.
is,
Trick you.
yep.
Freeman.
Oh, Riley.
Look at the use on that thing. Once again, I think that's 3V2. I've literally done some really crazy things with that knife.
That thing is
camping and
really cool.
Made in Oregon.
fishing and all that. I don't hunt. I don't kill animals, but I would if I had to. Yeah, that thing's been
Wow, that's
used
intense.
very hard. The edge is great, and the coating on it is holding up fantastic.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Killer knife.
If I'm picking another one, it's gonna. Oh man, I don't want to stab myself in the hand.
There you go.
This guy right here. This feels exactly to me like an open XM18 skinny. Like the dimensions feel exactly the same. It's got that crazy Warncliffe blade. Just a super precise worker on this.
It's a great knife.
S35 VN.
Carries
That's something you
well.
don't see often at all. Check that out. Just so comfortable.
Yeah, for
it's
an
thin.
everyday type fixed blade,
Yeah,
Yes.
that would be nice.
it doesn't get much better than that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it carries so thin. I mean, look how thin the sheath is.
Yeah, I remember when he first dropped those, you know, people were like, whoa, that thing looks perfect for everyday carry.
Yeah, just a little scout carry right on the back
Yeah,
there. That's
absolutely.
legit.
Throw out a little shout out to LT Wright.
Shout out
If I'm
LT.
not
There's
mistaken,
several
this
here.
is one of the ones that we made when we went up there.
Yeah, Rec invited me to go out with the crew, and everybody got to make their own knife. And that was an experience I'll never forget.
That was the first time we met.
It was the first time
Yep.
that we met. Yeah, it was during that trip. And, you know, when you get to walk away with a knife that you had part of making and shaping, this thing will forever have a special place because of that.
I don't even carry mine because of that.
Yeah.
It just
something
kind of
like-
sits in the case. It's one of the only ones I have that I don't really touch.
Yeah, it means too much to you. Yeah, I love this thing a lot. It's a great knife.
How about a little Bowie action?
Oh,
I remember when those came out.
these are incredible. They're 3V steel. I've always really loved. You touched on the Warncliffe, but Henderer always does a killer Bowie. His Bowie knives are
Big time.
they're just amazing. This knife is brutal. It feels good. You're never gonna hurt this knife. Made so well. It's comfortable.
One of the few knives I would actually prefer the leather sheath with.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean
The
it suits
leather
it
that they
so
do is
perfectly.
so well.
You get to
Yeah.
handle that guy. The thing is so cool. Then excuse my lean. Just a big Bradford guy.
Yeah, that's a good one. Absolutely.
With the natural G10 and M390, which is obviously super cool.
Killer EDC fixed blade.
Killer.
I mean, you can always tell too by the sheath and the shape
Yep.
of what that knife is.
Yep.
You can spot it from a mile away.
And yeah, I mean the sheath is perfectly set up for scout carrying it. Obviously, that's what it's
Yeah.
meant to do.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't be right. I say we end it.
Oh yeah.
Here we go.
This is really good here. The Monkey Edge Strider DBL.
It's so crazy.
Dude, this thing. So the regular DB and the DBL, the regular DB is just a touch shorter, and I wanted that extra length just to make it more of an actual hard use fixed blade
100%.
and feel the weight of that.
It feels
just-
so
Oh
good.
my
Just
gosh.
crazy.
Wow, that is comfortable though. Like that shape of the handle with the frag pattern that they're so famous for.
Yep.
Again, 3V. That should just be the title of this video. Just Jamie's 3V fixed
Strider
blades.
collection.
Yeah.
You know, there's not, out of all these fixed blades, the two Striders I have are that one and the Prometheus Design Works. What is that one called? I'm kind of blanking.
Holy crap.
but- Yeah, that one comes with no handles, and then you have the option to buy handles from Monkey Edge, which I did.
It's actually really comfortable.
Is that more of a defensive tool as opposed to a? Because it just looks like that.
It seems that way to me because it's the shape and size.
It's almost got that pistol grip canted forward kind of deal to it. I really dig that.
And my thing with those type of knives too are
It would work
Trajan,
as an
you know.
everyday carry fixed blade.
Yeah.
For normal tasks. It's
It
really-
would, but it's like
really
almost
comfortable.
canted forward in that
This thing
fighting
is
style.
thick.
love it.
That is insane.
Yeah, Strider fixed blades definitely are like their folders. You're gonna beat the heck out of them and not have an issue at all. Amazing fixed blades.
That stippling, that's almost like an inlay there. It reminds me.
of a pistol.
It does, exactly. It reminds like a revolver
Yeah.
grip. That's so cool.
Anything with that cracking on it, I'm trying to.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, I love those things.
That would actually be a great tattoo.
Yes, it would.
It's super badass.
Excellent.
Got some free space.
Yeah, right on the knee there.
Yeah, that's one spot most people hate. I don't know where these. Oh yeah, that's the. I'm holding both of your sheaths, dude.
I was trying to hold you up. Should we wrap it and just kind of have B-roll while we're talking, maybe of going through like the other stuff that you are into EDC wise while we're kind of
Yeah.
doing the wrap up?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So I'll just lead it into like you obviously have an amazing knife collection. I'm sure you're into other EDC gear as well. I mean, just kind of mention the stuff that you like, and then Riley can kind of just be scrolling through it on the camera work.
Yeah.
And then we'll just thank you, and we'll be after it.
Perfect. So besides knives, folders, fixed blades, something that I carry in my pocket constantly is a pry bar.
Yep.
Recently, people have asked, what's the significance of a pry bar? And until you carry one and pull it out and use it on multiple things, you wouldn't know you need one. But, if you're trying to open a paint can and you use a folder that doesn't have a good tip on it, you're going to break your tip.
Correct.
So just reach in your pocket, grab your pry bar, problem solved. Can you use some knives as a pry bar? Sure. But, you don't want to if it's not meant to be. So pry bars, flashlights, a lot of little knuckle style things I like. And then there's just like some challenge coins, things like that.
Other pocket jewelry stuff. Yeah.
man.
I'm always carrying an old coin. I mean, I got my Eisenhower right here. This has significance to me because my family actually, we use this as a betting currency.
Oh, wow.
So we'll just wager with each other stupid stuff. Like if you win this game of euchre, I'll put up 5 of these, you put up 5 of these.
Yeah.
But then it's a way to bet without betting like
big
money.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I
That's funny.
I'm always carrying one of those on
I
me.
always keep one of those close.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
Like I think I have 3 or 4 that I keep in my knife box.
Just keeps it just has a little bit of sentimental significance to me. So, Mr. Jamie Hall, thank you so much for part 2.
For sure.
Appreciate you, of course.
Absolutely.
Guys, thank you so much for sticking with us. I know Jamie's videos absolutely go crazy. So give him some love. We'll link down your Instagram in the description. Give him some love. He posts some awesome knife photography and then some weird stuff in there sometimes too. Sunsets and fishing fishing content and sometimes you might end up in a onesie, but
I have been in a onesie before.
but it's all love.
Yep.
We appreciate you guys. We'll talk to you guys in the next video.